Moving forward, we got Lamar Jackson back in the news, like always, having Twitter beef with former defensive back of the Ravens, Bernard Pollard, who I guess to Lamar Jackson is a nobody. I'm not gonna say he's a well-known player, but he is a player. Basically, they were having some Twitter beef. Bernard Pollard was tweeting about how no star wide receivers want to play with Lamar because he can't make the throws. And then Lamar responded saying, "Bro, who are you? Blah, blah, he's a nobody. You got carried to a Super Bowl victory. Blah, blah, blah." Whose side are you on in this beef? Who's right?
I'm going to be honest. They're both right.
They're both right?
They both got some points. Lamar Jackson, he said Bernard wouldn't have won without Ray Lewis.
And Ed Reed?
That's facts.
That is facts.
That's just facts. Like you can't deny that.
Bernard Pollard didn't contribute the same.
If Ed Reed or Ray Lewis wasn't there, they wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
That's just the facts. Then you got Pollard saying, he specifically said in the tweet he might be a top 10 talent, but does that make him completely a top 10 quarterback?
Yeah.
And I can agree with that. Because Lamar, he's the best, no question, probably ever to be on the run as a quarterback.
Better than Cam.
Michael Vick.
Is he better than Vic?
Better than Vic. So, I mean, in that retrospect, yeah, but he can't really throw accurately.
It's just so inconsistent. You never know what you're getting.
Exactly. So, they're both kind of right, I believe. What about you? What do you think?
I do think that both make good points. However, I just don't know why Lamar shouldn't be really even be bothering with this. That's just me. After coming out for the season that the Ravens had in general,
I think
Lamar should be 100% focused on locking in and making this a bounce back year for the Ravens, because we saw last year. I will give the Ravens credit. They kind of competed even though they were the most decimated team in the league with injuries. Lamar himself was injured in and out. That affected his performance. I would say this was Lamar's worst NFL campaign. He threw the most interceptions, had the most fumbles, even though he played the least amount of games he's played. The yards is there. We know he can still run the ball. However, the turnovers is the main thing with Lamar. However, I'm going to cut him some slack because the offensive line wasn't there, and he basically had no help, you know what I mean, because of the injuries. And he still managed to pretty much compete. So I just think Lamar should be focused on locking in and making it a bounce-back year for himself, because I do think he can still return to MVP form. I saw glimpses. You still see glimpses. You know he can still do it.
Of course.
This was an NFL MVP who was complete dominant in the year that he won. And it was no doubt. He was just looked that much better than everybody else. There's still question marks about his arm. However, ultimately, I think he could still be a very good passer in this league. I just think right now, especially last season, the situation wasn't the best. And I don't know if they've made the situation that much better. I just think I wish he would get that top wide receiver, because I feel like he's never quite had it. I feel like if he had it, it would be a lot different. I don't think Marquise Brown was ever a top wide receiver.
Damn, that's kind of a bold take.
I think the fact that Mark Andrews was the best weapon for Lamar Jackson, that says something.
That does say something.
And they've always rumored with getting Antonio Brown. Even right now, Antonio Brown I think would be a good option for the Ravens in terms of just pure ability. I'm not saying the off the field. That's the off the field. But in terms of pure ability,
that probably would be their number one option.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. And so that's why I tend to agree with Bernard Pollard, though, because why is that? If Lamar is so well loved around the league, why do none of these wide receivers want to go play with him? Well, so I do kind of put two and two together that they like him because of his personality and stuff, but they really don't believe in his performance. Maybe not quite as much as I do, because I think he could really do something. I believe in Lamar Jackson, but I do think that the lack of contract extension with Lamar Jackson is one of the most interesting things in the NFL right now. Because most of the time with quarterbacks, they get their money real fast. You don't want to risk losing a star quarterback. When you've got a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type guy, you keep him because you don't get him often.
And Lamar, like,
He was an MVP. He's that guy.
if he doesn't get a contract extension, what happens? Like,
He's leaving.
he's leaving.
And I don't know why Baltimore has not been more urgent.
Like, you
to
know what I
get
mean?
this
I know
wrapped
what
up.
happens, but like, where would he go?
But you don't see things like this happen in the NFL. That's why it's head scratching. Star quarterbacks like this do not make it to the free agency market. If you have a star quarterback, you are chomping at the bit to re-sign them because that's the future of your franchise. If you don't have a star quarterback, you are not winning in the NFL. That's just the facts. If you believe Lamar is 100% the guy, you have to give him his money now. You can't let him risk leaving in free agency to somebody who is willing to pay him the big bucks.
Facts.
Somebody will pay him because somebody is desperate to get that star quarterback. Because everybody is. If you don't have a star quarterback in the NFL, you are desperate.
Damn, I just wonder where he'll go, though.
I just don't understand why Lamar isn't like sitting out and saying like, give me my money or I'm not playing. Because that's the stance I would be taking if I was Lamar. I wouldn't be playing and risking injury without my money. And for the Ravens, I don't know why I'm not chomping at the bit to re-sign Lamar unless low-key you really don't think he's the guy, which it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they have backed him all this and done everything just to say, nah, he's not the guy? The stats are there. I mean, he's still putting up really good performances. He's the guy. And I think you have to give him the money. And I just don't understand why they're waiting. And I think that's why it's interesting. Do you think if you were Baltimore, would you pay Lamar Jackson $200 million?
Definitely. I'm paying him whatever he needs.
Exactly. Like, you have to.
You don't have no options.
Like, if you let him leave, who are you getting to replace him that's going to be somewhat comparable in terms of the production? What quarterback on the open market that you could just go get is giving you Lamar Jackson numbers?
No one.
No one is giving you that rushing threat, that dual threat quarterback ability. Like, no one is doing that. So, even though he had a down year last year, I feel like if I'm the Ravens, I have to pay Lamar Jackson. You have no choice. I don't know why they haven't.
Facts.